Welcome to my channel. If you like the content, please subscribe for more.
My wife has been cheating on me for a year. I plan to divorce her as soon as our child is in childcare. My wife and I have been married for 5 years. Our child was born just over a year ago. I thought we were happy. But my wife became distant soon after. She stopped being interested in intimacy, stopped showing any affection towards me. She seemed to enjoy spending time with me less and less with each passing week and month. I have tried talking to her about it, but she has blocked any effort from me. I was unable to reach her. Then, about 3 months ago, I saw a notification on her phone. I was not snooping. I just wanted to pause the music she had playing. But there it was. "Can't wait to see you tonight. I've been hard all day." It was a text from her male best friend. My heart skipped a few beats. I started to look through her phone and found loads of texts going back months. Nude pictures, dirty talk, everything. I wanted to throw up. Apparently, they started getting closer a few weeks after the child was born and started sleeping together around 3 months after the birth. All those nights she went out with her girlfriends, she actually spent at his house. I wanted to confront her, to leave her, and be done with her, but we have a child that needs us. I knew I couldn't take care of a child alone, at least not until he would go to kindergarten. And I knew she certainly could not take care of him alone. Besides, I could never stand being apart from my little boy. So I made a plan. I collected as much evidence as possible and kept my mouth shut. I stopped trying to get closer to her, keep my head down, and just take care of our child with all my heart. But the moment he is settled in at kindergarten, when he is 2 years old, I'll divorce my wife and try to get custody of my boy. And that is my situation. I've got to endure a bit more than a year of this broken marriage, pretend that I don't know what she is doing, and keep things civil. There is no one in my life I can talk to about this. I cry myself to sleep when she is out with the girls, knowing what she is actually doing. I got to stay strong for my boy. I love you, little one. Edit, since everyone in the comments is telling me to get a paternity test. Thank you for your advice. I already did. He is my child. Edit 2. Good God. I went to bed yesterday and come back this morning to all your lovely comments. Thank you all so much for your feedback and suggestions. To clarify a few things. As I already said yesterday, I had a paternity test done to make sure the kid is mine. He is, but it would not have changed anything for me anyway, at least not how I feel about him. I am talking to an attorney. I have been working with them for a while, gathering evidence and building a case. I am prepared in case my wife decides to act before I plan to do. Thirdly, sole custody is not my goal, nor my preference. Optimally, I will go for some form of custody agreement with me being the primary caregiver. I don't want to take his mom from my little boy, but I am prepared for the worst. Many of you disagree with my opinion to keep my wife's infidelity quiet. Let me clarify. In any legal proceedings, I will not hesitate to use what evidence I have gathered, but I will not go around advertising my wife's actions to our friends and family, or worse, to our boy. I will make damn sure his relationship with his mom stays as untainted as possible. I am aware that she might use some dirty tactics and may not be as respectful as I plan to be, which is why I am preparing for any eventuality with my lawyer. Sorry about the confusion regarding kindergarten, daycare, and childcare. I have used those terms interchangeably. In my country, children can be externally cared for from as young as a few months old, but that is rare. Most commonly, children are put in external care at 2 to 5 years old, depending on the situation. In our case, child care under the age of 2 is not available, and our financial situation is a bit more complicated than I care to elaborate. Suffice it to say, I have done my research and have determined that external childcare is not feasible or affordable until he is 2. And me staying home to care for him full-time is also not feasible. So to be sure I can take care of him all by myself in case the separation goes less than smooth, I am waiting until he is regularly going to external childcare. Like usual, I got up early. My wife was sound asleep next to me, even though the sun had just begun to break through the curtains. To make coffee, I got up and went to the kitchen. A small voice from behind me could be heard as I was about to pour myself a cup. "Daddy? Daddy?" When I turned around, my young son was rubbing his dozy eyes. I picked him up with a smile on my face and a warm feeling in my heart. This is the reason behind my actions. By him. "Greetings, young one. Do you feel rested?" I quizzed him. He hugged my shoulder as he nodded. "I dreamed about a huge red balloon," the dreamer said. I laughed. "What a fun dream that would be. Would you like breakfast?" Once more nodding, I seated him in his high chair. I began preparing him some oatmeal and fruit slices. I couldn't help but be proud as I watched him eat. I was happy to be able to see him experience his rapid growth. I got him dressed and ready for the day after breakfast. I didn't want to wake up my wife because she was still fast asleep. We visited a park where we enjoyed the swings and fed the ducks. The day was enjoyable. I kept thinking about my situation as the day went on. I knew I had to exercise caution. Things could get messy if my wife found out that I knew about her affair. I didn't want her to take our son away from me or use him as a pawn in her scheme of things. I had been researching divorce procedures and child custody laws, so I was aware of what I needed to do to safeguard my son and myself. Yet it wasn't simple. It felt like I was constantly bearing a heavy burden. I was unable to discuss it with anyone, not even my closest friends. They shouldn't have judged me for remaining in this marriage, or worse, degraded my wife in their eyes. My wife's behavior became more erratic as the months passed. She would occasionally arrive home very late. I was aware that she was lying when she claimed she was working late or out with her friends. I remained silent, though. I simply remained silent and kept my son in mind. My wife once came home intoxicated. She entered the living room, stumbling, laughing, and mumbling her words. As I came to the conclusion that she had probably been with her lover, my heart sank. "Hey, baby!" she yelled as she attempted to encircle me in her arms. I gently pushed her away. "Sarah, get into bed. You're wasted." She sulked. "What's the matter with you? You used to be such a joy." I simply shook my head as I put her to sleep. I was reluctant to argue with her. I didn't want to give her any information that she could use to argue against me in court. She had a hangover when she awoke the following morning and expressed regret for her actions. Without a doubt, I forgave her. I had to maintain order. I had to control the situation, so it didn't get worse. My wife's infidelity became more obvious as the days passed. She would return home smelling of cheap perfume and with love bites on her neck. I yearned to confront her, scream at her, and let her know how much her actions had wounded me. I didn't, though. I simply cared for my son while I awaited the day I could leave her. The day eventually arrived. My son turned 2. He began attending daycare. For me, it was a moment of bittersweetness. Updated. While I was sorry to see him go, I also understood that this was the opportunity I had been waiting for. It was time to carry out my plan. I had already been building a solid case for myself, gathering proof of my wife's infidelity, and working with a lawyer for some time. I was prepared to fight even though I knew it wouldn't be a simple battle for my son. I sat down with my wife and confessed my desire for a breakup. She was stunned and incensed, but I remained cool, headed, and collected. I gave her the proof I had gathered and informed her that I wanted to be in charge of our son's care. She initially resisted, arguing that she was the superior parent and that our son would be happier in her care. However, as the evidence mounted against her, she started to understand that she had no chance of succeeding. My attorney and I discussed everything during our meeting. With all the evidence we had gathered over the previous year, we had a compelling case. I knew it wasn't going to be simple, but I was adamant about getting primary custody of my son. But then something strange took place. My wife approached me with tears in her eyes a few days after my son started daycare. She informed me that her app had dumped her and that her affair had come to an end. She claimed to have made a terrible error and that she wanted to make things right with us. Her suggestion offended me. She thought she could just come back and everything would be fine after everything she had made me go through, all the pain and heartache she had caused. I made it perfectly clear to her that I had no interest in making amends. She had numerous opportunities to communicate with me and repair our marriage, but she always refused. She believed she could simply waltz back into my life and pick up where we left off now that she had been dumped by her app. In my opinion, no. I told her that, going forward, I didn't want her to get in touch with me for anything other than matters involving our son, except for information about his well-being or matters pertaining to our custody arrangement. I didn't want to hear from her. I had no desire to be her friend or pay attention to her justifications. My comments had hurt her, and I could see tears welling up in her eyes. I didn't feel bad for her, though. She had to get into her freshly made bed. We underwent a challenging divorce procedure over the following few months. She fought me at every turn, but my attorney and I were ready. The judge granted my request for primary custody after we made a compelling case for it. Although my wife was inconsolable, I didn't feel bad for her. She was to blame for this. Although the process wasn't simple, it was worthwhile. I can now spend all of my time with my son, watching him develop and guiding him through life. My ex-infidelity wife is no longer a source of pain and betrayal, and I can now move on with my life. Naturally, there are still challenging times. There are times when I am reminded of what transpired and experience a twinge of pain. My son misses his mother, but I'm confident that I chose wisely for both my son and myself. Additionally, I've worked hard to surround myself with good friends and family members. Having people in my life who can relate to what I went through and who have supported me throughout it all has been a great source of comfort. Looking back, I am proud of myself for maintaining my composure and prioritizing the needs of my son. Although difficult, it was the right thing to do. And now that my marriage is over, I can enjoy being a parent without feeling the weight of a failed union. Regarding my ex-wife, I've made an effort to move on and stop letting what she did define who I am. I'm hoping for the best for her, but I don't want to talk to her. My priorities are my son and creating a fulfilling and happy life for the two of us. And so far, things seem to be improving. We are now living our best lives, my son and I. I am incredibly appreciative of him and the chance to serve as his primary caregiver. He is content and in good health, and I am doing everything in my power to provide for him. I have no idea what my ex-wife is doing right now. I'm not interested in watching her or finding out what she's up to. My priorities are my son and providing him with a happy, secure home. I'm relieved that I persisted and carried out my plan in the end. Although it was a challenging year, having my son in my life every day made it worthwhile. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll meet someone who genuinely cares about me and wants to spend the rest of their life with me. But for the time being, I'm happy to think about my son and our future together. Story 2. Caught my girlfriend of 5 years sending sexually illicit texts while blacked out wasted. Hey, everyone. I'm a 27-year-old guy who's been in a relationship with my girlfriend for 5 years. We moved in together last year, and I thought things were going great. She was always talking about marriage and pushing me to propose, so I was seriously considering it. But things took a turn for the worse when she went out for her female coworker's birthday 3 weekends ago. She and her coworkers had been drinking all day and night while I stayed home. I started to worry when my girlfriend's 2 best friends came home, but she didn't. After 2 hours of slow replies to my texts, she finally got home at 2 a.m. She was so drunk that I had to help her into the elevator. We got into an argument about it, and she eventually passed out with her phone still in her hand. I got curious and looked at her phone, only to find a sexually explicit text from a guy I didn't recognize. There was no previous text history, and she had deleted the message only 10 minutes earlier. I checked her photos and found a screenshot of the explicit texts that she had sent to this guy. She was the one who initiated it. I later found out that this guy was her coworker who works remotely in a different state, but he was in town for the birthday party. I was furious and moved out within a few hours. My girlfriend has been crying and acting heartbroken, saying that she won't drink without me again and won't hang out with those coworkers. She even sent the guy a text saying that it was a mistake and that they could never work together again. However, she continues to deny that anything physical happened at the bar, and I don't believe her. I'm almost certain that something must have happened. I don't know what to do. I don't hate her, and I still find her gorgeous, but my trust in her is shattered. She used to check all the boxes, but now I'm not sure if I should even consider taking her back. How messed up is this? What do you all think the likelihood is that she was making out with this guy at the bar for 2 hours? Redditors' reactions. Update after. Redditor 1. You can't trust her when she goes out. She failed girlfriend 101. Do not let her repeat the course. She's been flirting with this guy for a while. She was thinking of him and not you. And why were you not invited to the party? Redditor 2. The deleting text is what solidifies it to me. She was blackout, drunk, wasted, but had the sense and coordination to hide her behavior. That's a pretty big stretch. Redditor 3. She arrives home so drunk that you had to help her, but she had the presence of mind to delete the texts just 10 minutes before. She was still aware enough to try and hide it from you. This would have likely gone on if you didn't catch those texts early. At the very least, she had started an EA before they actually met in person, and more than likely they got physical, at least a little, that night. Checking all the boxes except the most important ones, devotion and respect. Redditor follow-up. Don't forget 2 hours earlier, when most likely was not as drunk, made the decision to not go home with her friends and stay at the bar with the dude. This was premeditated. Updated. Hello, everybody. All I wanted to do was express my gratitude to everyone who responded to my post. Your suggestions and insights were a huge help in getting me through this trying time. I've decided that I need to break up with my girlfriend after giving it some thought and doing some soul-searching. She apologized profusely and promised to make amends, but after what happened, I simply cannot trust her again. I'll be moving on and concentrating on my own recovery, but I sincerely appreciate all of your kind and encouraging remarks. I appreciate you supporting me during this difficult time. Story 3. My empath XGF cheated on me with married narc guy friend from social circle. Wow, I had no idea my girlfriend was cheating on me. I believed she was faithful throughout our nearly 5-year relationship, but after having major knee surgery, my outlook shifted dramatically. She began an affair with a mutual friend who was known to be physically and verbally abusive to his wife while I was recovering and unable to move around for weeks. The other guy's wife tried to text me and let me know, but my girlfriend read it and deleted it before I got a chance to see it. A further 8 days passed before the wife texted me again, at which point I learned the truth. Nearly 3 months into their affair, they were discussing setting up permanent residence together. Although I don't miss her, I feel bad for her. I'm concerned that by getting involved with him, she's putting herself in harm's way because I know this guy is bad news. He's been married for 17 years, and he has a history of domestic violence. However, I can't deny the fact that she cheated on me. Quite the catch. 22 situation. One part of me wants to shield her from harm and guarantee her security. However, I refuse to risk being hurt once more by getting involved in their drama. To be honest, I'm at a loss for what to do in this challenging circumstance. Updated. The cheating partner turned out to be a real piece of work, as I discovered. He's been married for 17 years, but he's a narcissist who enjoys dropping love bombs on his spouse and other acquaintances. His ego is too big for his own good, and he lacks empathy and jealousy. A week before I discovered the affair, my girlfriend brought him to a small gathering at my place. The fact that I invited him while being in the dark about the situation speaks volume. The worst part is that the affair began in October when I was still recovering from surgery and continued through December when I was finally able to get off the couch. They weren't able to break into my place because I was recovering from surgery, and they couldn't break into his place because he's married, so apparently they were breaking into other people's homes while their owners were at work. I can't believe it. I can't tell if my girlfriend cheated on me or if she was a victim of this guy's love bombing. Really, we have no idea. After nearly 5 years of success, I had never noticed any major warning signs. Perhaps, though, her skill at concealment was simply exceptional. I've had enough of them both. Neither he nor she are my friends or girlfriends anymore. It's too bad it took this to reveal their true colors to me. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1. She's a drug addict, not a narc. You are both friends with a coke dealer to begin with. Knowing she had issues seems like a bad idea. Redditor follow-up. Not necessarily mutually exclusive. Narcissists' personalities and substance addiction go hand in hand. Obviously doesn't mean all drug addicts are narcissists. Redditor 2. She's a coke user and has addiction issues. This could be due to her own childhood trauma. Cheating also goes back to her own childhood trauma. Whether she's a narc or not really doesn't matter. What does matter is that she is a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, a selfish coke user, and you deserve better. Seek counseling and therapy for yourself. Don't try to fix her. She would do anything for attention and coke. Op answer. She definitely has childhood trauma issues. Something bad, but I don't know what. I'm in tons of therapy. I'm also open to something way better, and I'm not open to her. I'm not trying to fix her. Redditor 3. Waywards have many traits in common with narcissists, but that doesn't mean that every cheater is a narcissist. When the partner we used to be so close to in every way becomes indifferent to us and starts putting their own desires above us, then it can look pretty close. What she is limerent, high on new relationship energy. She's got quite the fantasy life going on there, a bad boy coke dealer who is promising her the sun, moon, and stars, new secret locations to visit covertly, and an excess of dopamine hits from Snapchat. That's quite the cocktail. She must feel like a secret agent. The crack in the dam. Could I give you another analogy instead? The barbarians only sacked the city because the traitor let the drawbridge down. What she has won't last. She's on quite the roller coaster and loving the thrills and spills. But the ride doesn't last forever. Eventually, you have to get off, pay for the ride, and then back to reality. She's going to be hit with real-world consequences for her actions, divorce, an unstable app, etc. You may have to be stronger than you ever have been before if she comes back. Op answer. This is an excellent response. I am prepared to battle this off. I'm already interested in others, and the betrayal is just beyond forgivable. I can forgive myself, but not her. Great drawbridge analogy. Oh, and she takes the maximum amount of Adderall every day, so there's some extra dopamine. Yes, I think she really enjoyed the thrill, especially if the 5-year relationship, quite a laid-up BF, got boring to her. Sadly, she's boring as hell, so maybe some compensating there. That said, I think my life is anything but boring. No, it won't last, but I don't think she's coming back, and I won't take her back.